Hello, the purpose of this video is to show you how to use the university's new online meeting tool, Adobe Connect. Now in past semesters, your instructor may have used our previous tool called Adobe Collaborate, and they're very similar. But there are a few things that are different that I'll go through in the video, and a few things that you should do before your very first meeting. So let's get started. Before your first meeting, you'll want to go to this URL. Sorry I couldn't make it clickable for you so you could just click on it and go to that particular link. So pause the video for a second and write down this URL. When you visit this page, Connect will run a test on whatever device you're using. Connect does run on a laptop or desktop, and there's also a mobile app for tablets. And you can get that app at either the Apple Store or the appropriate store for Android. The test will take a minute or so and let you know whether you have the correct Flash Player version for Connect to work, or if you might be having issues with your connection speed. There will be one difference in the results you're seeing here. This fourth option will say that you need to go and download the Adobe Connect add-in, and it will give you a button that will allow you to do that. Please go ahead and do that before your first meeting, especially if you're a Firefox user. This will make Adobe work better for you. If you run into any problems, especially if you have connection issues, contact the 24/7 help desk. Once you have the test run, you go to UA Tools and click Adobe Connect. The very first time you do this, you'll see that the application is asking you to verify your information. I would suggest selecting Do Not Ask Me Again for this application and click Continue. Now for this space, you have three options. You can join the class meeting, go to My Office Hours, or create a study group. Now your instructor may not have set up office hours, and if that's the case, there won't be any join button or any recordings. For the course meetings, click on Join and you'll go to the meeting. You can also see recordings of previous meetings by clicking Recordings. The same is true for My Office Hours. You could click on Recordings or Join to go directly to the office hours. Your instructor will let you know whether they're using office hours or not. One very nice function for you is the ability to create your own meeting for a study group. If you click on Add Meeting, it will ask you for the name of your meeting. Let's call it Chris's Study Group. And again, you can call it whatever you'd like. In selecting a template, my suggestion is to use the default meeting template. When you're ready, click Save. To include people in your meeting, you can click on the down arrow and select Edit. Then click on Participants. Now, I'm using a demonstration account, so all I have is myself as the instructor and a student, but you would see the other students in your class. So, you could select, say, me as an instructor and click Add. That will add me to your group. Once I'm done, I'll go back to my meetings list. Now I can join my study group by clicking here, but instead I'm going to go into the main course meeting. I'll click Join. A few things will flash up on my screen, and then the Adobe Connect client will open. Now if you're a Firefox user and you didn't add the add-in, you'll stay in a browser rather than coming into the actual client. That's fine if that's the way you want to do it, but you do have to be careful of accidentally quitting your browser in the middle of a meeting, which I have a tendency to do, and then that would bump you out of the class meeting. If you use Collaborate in previous classes, this layout should look familiar. There's a video pod, an attendee pod, a chat pod, and a sharing screen. Right now, nothing is being shared by your instructor. The very first thing you should do when entering a meeting is to go to the meeting option and select Audio Setup Wizard. I'll click Next, and I can now test my sound output by clicking Play Sound. That sounds pretty good, so I'll just stop that and click Next. Now I can select my microphone. I'm using a laptop, so I have a built-in mic. If I had a separate microphone plugged in, it would allow me to check that. I'll click Next, and I can test my microphone by clicking Record. Now when you do this, a pop-up will appear, and you'll just want to click Allow, otherwise you won't be able to use your microphone. So this is now recording my voice, and I can see whether my volume is too loud or not. I'll click Stop, play the recording. So this is now recording my voice, and I can see whether my volume is, and I'd say it's a little loud, so I'd want to go to my settings on my computer and turn my microphone down a little bit. Now you can also do that in Connect, but it's usually better to just go to your computer and set that. So click Next, and this last option is a little strange, but what you will want to do is to make sure that there are no other noises going on, your roommate's not talking, the dog or cat isn't barking, and just click Text Silence. When you're done, you'll click Next, and it will give you some information that's not really meaningful to you in terms of the mic level, the silence level. Just know that if it says successful, then your microphone's going to work in the meeting. So I'll click Finish. My other option in Meeting is to go to full screen. And this is sometimes helpful depending on the size of screen you have. I'll go into full screen mode for the rest of this demonstration. At this point, you have two options. One is your speaker, and one is the set status. Under the speaker, if you'd like to mute your speakers, you can just click on the little green speaker, but make sure that you click on it again in order to hear your instructor. There are some options. One of them is to adjust the speaker volume. So if it's a little noisy, you can bring it down a little bit. Under Set Status, you have the status that you had in Collaborate in terms of raising your hand to get the instructor's attention, agreeing or disagreeing with something, stepping away, and the options to ask your instructor to speak louder or softer, or perhaps give him or her a round of applause. When you click something like Raise Your Hand, a little hand will go up next to your name. This lets the instructor know that you'd like to say something. Now you could type it in the chat, but often your instructor is focusing on what's being shared and may not see that. If you'd like to put your hand down, just go back to the Set Status and Clear Status. Now each instructor is different, but most of us will usually make sure that you have a microphone. So I'm going to take a second, go over to another computer I'm using, and turn on microphone rights. When I do that, a little microphone will appear. Right now, it's grayed out. It will also appear next to your name. To turn your microphone on, click Connect Audio. With your microphone on, every time you talk, you should see little bars here. That will let you know that your mic is working. You also get a set of bars next to your name on your microphone. You have some options. You can mute your microphone, and to be honest, it's usually easier just to go up and click the mic itself. You can disconnect it. You can adjust your mic volume. So remember, the microphone was a little high, so I can click here and bring that down a little bit so I'm not getting so much green at the high point. And then I'll click OK. I could also select my other microphone here. When your instructor wants to share video, he or she will turn on your video cameras. When that happens, a small camera will appear here. You can start your webcam by clicking on Start My Webcam up in the menu bar or here in Start My Webcam. When you do that, you'll see a small window. Now, this is a preview of what you'll be seeing. You have to click Start Sharing before your video will actually appear. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my camera, but I do also have the option here of selecting the camera I'm using. So I'm using the camera that's built into my Mac laptop. If I had another webcam, I could use that instead. Now, each of the pods has a little pull-down menu, and it's different based on which pod you click on. So here in the video pod, I can select a camera, I can start the webcam, or I could go full screen with the video. Under the attendees, I have the option of editing my info. So for example, Connect pulled my name from D2L, and it's my quote formal name. If instead I'd prefer to be called Chris, I can just click that and it will change my information here. There's Change My View, and it's the attendee view or the status view, and this will just tell you who's stepped away, who's raised their hand. You can also change that by clicking these two buttons, and to be honest, you probably just want to leave it on the attendee view. There's a nice option in the chat pod to change your text size. So if you find that the text size is a little small for you, you can go in and boost that up. You can also select a chat color. So when you type, your text will come in the color you've selected. There are also some chat sounds. For example, when a chat comes in, it'll beep, and you can decide whether you want to turn that on or not. So we're almost done. The last major difference between Collaborate, if you've used that before, and that's that in Collaborate, we had just this one layout of the modules, or what we now call pods, in Connect. However, in Connect, your instructor can create different layouts, and they can switch in the meeting. So right now, we're in a class sharing layout, and I'm going to switch us to a discussion mode. When I do that, your screen will rearrange. So in this configuration, I have a slightly larger window for webcams so that people's faces will be larger during our discussion. I have an area where I could post some notes. We have the chat, which is again a little bit bigger, and there's also an area where your instructor might post a poll. So based on what your instructor would like to have you do in terms of the meeting, the layout may change during the meeting. So that's it for using Adobe Connect for online meetings. Again, if you have any issues using it, make sure that you contact the 24/7 help desk. On behalf of your instructors, we hope you have a good semester and have a lot of fun using Adobe Connect.